Welcome to this Windows channel, and this is the Tech News Update. We are Friday, September the 29th, 2017. And today in our Tech News Update, we have, it's the times of these classic consoles like the Nintendo Mini and Classic Mini, and now the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. There's the Atari box coming. Well, it seems that a company called Retro Games will be releasing somewhere in 2018 a mini Commodore 64 preloaded with games. And not just that, you'll be even able to actually type the basic code on the keyboard to basically code if you wish. This is going to be kind of an interesting one. Entry price would be somewhere around $69, and it will have a pretty good number of games, around 30 games, if not more. So this is going to be maybe an interesting piece of technology that I might want to actually own. Well, after knowing that the Windows Store on Windows 10 will be rebranded Microsoft Store, we also learned that, well, pretty much everything will be called Microsoft Store, as the Xbox Store will also become the Microsoft Store. So that's pretty much what we're learning right now, and that, of course, that will be one branded store for everyone. Ubuntu 17.10 is the new version of Ubuntu for PC, desktop PC. Well, it actually introduces something new. No 32-bit versions will be available of that version, and that is making us wonder, is this the start of the end for older hardware that are running 32-bit? That is the interesting part of it. For a long time, we know that at some point there will be a break-off point where 32-bit will be left behind. But is this the start, or is this just a little experiment out of Ubuntu's new versions? Well, Facebook, Google, Twitter executives will have to testify in front of Senate committee for possible sale and broadcast of state-sponsored ads on their networks. And of course, the U.S. government and the Senate committee wants to kind of, see the scope of how big this was, and did it have an impact in the 2016 U.S. elections. So these people will have to answer a few questions. A interesting exploit for SMB servers called Illusion Gap. It's an attack that can be done with a SMB server that will actually have malware bypass Windows Defender security. And some security researchers say, well, this is kind of important. And they sent a request to Microsoft that kind of answered back, well, thanks for letting us know, but the answer was not clear because you need to have physical access to the server to install the package. Microsoft seems to say, well, it's not really that bad of an exploit because you need to have access to the device. But the security researchers say, well, it's not just that. It's the fact that the way that it's done, Windows Defender does not actually do the job that it's meant to do, to actually have you secure. So we're going to see, but I wouldn't be surprised Microsoft will actually fix it at some point. Interesting test that has been done where Alexa, Amazon's Alexa, Microsoft's Cortana, Google Voice, and Apple's Siri were tested and asked 5,000 questions each. The same questions, of course. And what are the good or the bad in here? Well, the best of all is the Google Voice, followed very, very closely by Cortana, that is apparently very good also. The worst, Siri. Siri is not very good in there. And Alexa, not that fantastic either. And if you want to know what are the numbers, well, basically, Google answered 3,405 of the questions with a response accuracy of 91%, which is very good. Cortana is second at 2,825, and of course its accuracy was 87%, which is also quite good. Then we go really far away. Alexa, Amazon's Alexa had 1035 only answers in there, and its accuracy was around 80%, which is not too bad, but it's the low number of answers that shows that it actually is far behind. And Siri answered 1085 but had only 62% good. So it makes it a really bad assistant, not only because it can't answer many questions, it just ain't good at answering the questions. So this is very interesting and a nice test. And maybe we should do our own tests and ask maybe like 50 questions or something and try to see the accuracy by ourselves. The only one that I don't have access to is Alexa, because I could try Siri, Google, and Cortana. Well, Firefox 56 Quantum has been released to the public, and we will take a look at this new browser in a video today, let you know what's new, and also kind of see if it's better than 55. Firefox 55 was, for me, kind of a fiasco release for Firefox, for my Mozilla, because it really had a lot of problems. So let's hope that this one is better. And of course, we will be checking it out and see if, they say it's the fastest browser. We're going to see if that is kind of true. Well, security research has shown that a high number of Mac computers remain vulnerable to a EFI firmware infection that not only is very hard to detect, but extremely difficult to remove. They say that technically, when you get a new version of an operating system on the Mac, one of the things that the operating system wants to do is update the EFI firmware, which is the basic software that is making your computer boot up. Well, it seems that there's a percentage of Macs that actually the EFI hasn't been updated, even though it should have been. And it leaves them vulnerable to such attacks. And also, the same type of EFI firmware infection is also possible for Windows and Linux PCs. And it might be even worse because of the wide variety of hardware and of motherboards that have so many different firmware or BIOS or EFI firmware that might not always be updated, if not at all. So it's kind of an interesting security story here. And finally, the new Equifax CEO is saying, "We're very sorry. I apologize for the data breach." And it says, well, we'll make it easier for anyone to have access to the credit info, and we'll try to help you more into this huge attack. Well, sorry doesn't cut it all the time. I can tell you that. So this was the Tech News Update for Friday, September the 29th, 2017. You enjoy our videos? Please subscribe, give us thumbs up, and thank you so much for following us on this channel.